Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to acclaimed comics and manga artist Camilla DeRico, creator of Tampopo and Helmetgirls, and who has worked with everyone from Dark Horse and Image Comics to Tokyo Pop, Hasbro, and even Neil Gaiman. She's just published her first instructional guide, Pop Manga, How to Draw the Coolest, Cutest Characters, Animals, Mascots, and More. Stick around, but keep your eye out for the milk fall girl, especially if you're lactose intolerant, like me.
That's awesome.
All right. So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview, brought to you by Amazon.com, Audible.com, and 1-800-DIAL-DJs. Please stop by the website, MrMedia.com, click on our advertisers, support the show. And remember, there's more than 1,000 interviews available at MrMedia.com. We've been doing this since February 2007. Hope you'll find something you like. And thanks for listening. Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience of suspiciously nimble, wide-eyed cutie pies in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. The thing I know for sure about artists, whether established veterans or determined beginners, is that they are always eager to learn something new about technique or the tools of the trade. And as a longtime wannabe artist myself, I can still remember my kindly old high school art teacher, Fred Arnott, telling me how I had more ideas than talent. But I remain fascinated, thank you, I remain fascinated by people who can do these things. So I've been thrilled to host a series of very talented artists on the show, including Mark Schultz, Christopher Hart, Chris Brown, Mark Anderson, Barbara Slate, and Richard Minsky, many of whom have given demonstrations and explanations of how they do what they do. Joining this esteemed group today is cartoonist Camilla DeRico, creator of her own properties, Tampopo and Helmetgirls, as well as being a leader in the international pop surrealism movement for her uniquely styled oil paintings. And of course, you may also know her for her work with Dark Horse and Image Comics, Tokyo Pop, Hasbro, Disney, Sanrio, and even best-selling author Neil Gaiman. Camilla has just published her first art instructional guide, the beautifully illustrated Pop Manga. Got it. I knew I'd mess that up. Pop Manga. How to draw the coolest, cutest characters, animals, mascots, and more. It was written with Stephen W. Martin, whose own credits include the CW's long-running series Supernatural and USA's Psych. Now, if you're already a fan of Camilla, you'll want to know that she'll be launching a redesigned website and a new e-store soon at CamillaDeRico.com. And you can look for her, once that's up, 48-hour only sales of super limited fine art prints on the new site. In addition, Camilla will be doing a book signing for Pop Manga at Golden Age Collectibles. I'm really having trouble talking today. Golden Age Collectibles in Vancouver on Saturday, October 26th, and she will be in Los Angeles from November 1st to 3rd for Kamikaze Convention. Camilla, welcome.
Hi,
Mr. Media.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here and allowing me to stumble through all sorts of tongue-tying stuff today. I don't know.
Oh, we all have tongue twisters. It's all good.
Every time you hear somebody say manga, do you want to just slap them? Or...
No, because I honestly don't even know how to say it. Like, is it manga? Is it manga? And I don't know. I'm Canadian. I always want to go like, hey, and so manga. And I don't know. I'm sure it's manga, but it's all good.
I know.
I've across one fan that was quite adamant, and I was like, all right, manga.
It's the young people. They always wind up correcting me, and I know generally that it's preferred manga, but sometimes I'm an old guy. I screw it up.
Yeah, it's okay.
Nah.
We're only human.
Thank you. Barely human. Me anyway. You perfectly human. So you seem like you're already plenty busy with work from chatting and reading. Why take time out from your regular work to do a book that only teaches artists how to do what you already do? Why would you want to create a legion of people to do what you do? Isn't there enough competition out there?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm not. For me, I go to comic book conventions a lot. A lot. I go to about 10 a year, and I meet a lot of fans, and I meet a lot of budding artists, and they have so many questions for me. And they see what I do, and they love my stories, but a lot of them show me their portfolios, and they're so curious as to how I do some of the things that I do and the way that I draw and how I developed my style and my talent. And so I decided that, when the publisher approached me, I was like, this is a great idea because I can finally have a book and be like, this is how I did it, I guess, and I could show them and in a comprehensive way. And so that's why I did it, because I think I'm not trying to make more little Camilla minions or anything. Because I'm actually, in the book I say, I'm like, it's okay to emulate, but you really should develop your own style, because an artist's our face, that's our face is how we draw and how we do art. That's how we present ourselves to the world. So you don't want to present yourself with someone else's style, with someone else's face. You want to show who you are. And so with the lessons that I teach, I hope that people can learn how I did it, and then even improve upon it and alter it and make it work for their own style.
And how would you explain kind of the difference in Pop Manga, your book, and other books that teach this? I mean, I'd love to be able to say this is the only book that exists to learn how to do this. I've had Christopher Hart on the show twice, so we know that there's other books, very good books. So what's different? How are you teaching maybe this a little differently?
I think it might be a little different because, I've worked in the comic book industry doing manga for the past 13 years. So I have a different perspective. I think that I've worked with publishers and I've worked with editors, and I've worked on actual, stories, and I can give people that perspective in that, I actually do manga for a living. That's my main job. And the difference between my book and the other instructional books is that I'm not really trying to teach people, this is how you draw chibis, and this is how you draw girls and boys. I'm like, this is how I draw them. And these are the tips and tricks that I've learned over the course of the decade I've been in the industry. And I also teach people how to draw animals and just like a blanket of what I've done. And I also show them how they actually can put together a comic book page or a manga page, and how to draw a pinup. And so it's really quite vast what I'm showing them, but it's in the context of how I've done it. And I try to do. It's interesting because I'm self-taught in this department, and so I've never really been shown by anybody this is the professional way to do something. So my book shows you also that you can learn on your own, and that's perfectly fine. There's no right way to do something, and there's no wrong way to do something either. And also the way I draw is different than most people because I don't draw with pencil. I draw with a blue pencil. It's a non-repro blue, and then on top of that, I go straight with a Bic pen. So I have this totally different technique. Even in the comic industry, I'm an anomaly. They're like, "Oh, you're your own penciler and inker. Okay, cool." So I show them how to do that, and I show it in a lot of steps. I've never been a fan of the instructional lessons that go from here's a circle, here's a squiggly line, and here's the Mona Lisa. It's just how did you get from that to that? So I tried to include as many steps as I possibly could, and I think my editor was overwhelmed by how much art I submitted, because she's like, there's 12 steps in how to draw one girl. I'm like, yeah, it should be like that. But we narrowed it down. So it's more concise in the book. But I think that's the difference between mine and like what's out there.
So you created work specifically for this book, as opposed to some artists who might do something like this and go, well, let me see, I've got this picture over here, I'll write about that, and I've got this picture, so they don't have to do the extra work.
Oh my gosh, no, I did all of it. Yeah, everything in there is brand new, everything. And I've even been licensed to draw the Sky Pirates of New Tarot characters in there, and Disney allowed me to draw like an instructional how to draw Tinkerbell. So I put in that's where the pop comes in too, is like you have pop culture references, and so you've got like Tinkerbell and you've got Sky Pirates and Byrne and Helmetgirls and so and Red Riding Hood, and she's in there. So this is all new content. Even if I'm drawing characters that have existed for a while, it's completely new.
And drawn in your style.
Yeah, drawn in style.
And the thing I liked about the book is it's a very conversational book. It's very personal. I do have a favorite quote, if you allow me.
Oh, yeah, please.
That would be, there's a page of how to draw guys for manga. And you write, or you or Stephen, I don't know which one of you wrote this.
Stephen, Stephen did the interviews, and he rewrote my words.
He captured what you had to say about things.
He did.
Yeah.
As you can see, I talk a lot.
Yeah.
So
listen, if you don't, then I have to talk, and trust me, nobody wants to hear me talk.
Oh. Sorry.
No, that's all right. So, my favorite quote from the book is, "Guys do not have big booties in manga." You wanna explain that a little bit for people who are going to be crushed to discover?
I know. Well, it's true. Manga tends to the Japanese artists tend to sort of flatten their characters, whereas if you've noticed, like North American characters, they're very voluptuous and they got massive thighs. I mean, that's why they put them in spandex, because they want to show off those rippling muscles. Mm-hmm. But manga doesn't really do that. They're all wearing like the best clothes you've ever seen ever. They have great sense of style, and so you won't see booty. It's a shame. Booty should come more often in manga.
I'm just reading along, and I thought, oh, that caught my eye. That was funny. I like that. And of course, it's under a picture of the back of a guy, where you're showing how to draw this a male character. And so I just thought it was funny. So if you're only looking at this book, and looking at the pictures, and you're not reading the text, you're missing out.
Definitely give it a read. There's some funny things, and Inku's one of my favorite things about the book too. A little blob.
A little character.
Exactly.
So how did you get interested in, first of all, in comics at all, but in manga over comics, for example?
Well, when I was first, it was 18 when I first started taking comic books seriously, and I went to Comic-Con, and I saw all the amazing North American artists, and so I was really influenced by them. And then something changed between when I was 19 and 20, when I was actually doing this for publishers, and I started watching a lot more anime because YTV was really bringing in Sailor Moon and Inuyasha, and so there was this big sweep in North America of anime, and I started to fall in love with that style. And I think what actually changed it for me was Tuxedo Mask in Sailor Moon. I joke, he was really my first cartoon crush. I was seriously in love with him. Just good look. He's in a tuxedo. I've never seen that before. Who does that? Who fights crime in a tux? Guy, So I was like, this is an incredible style. And then I actually started to buy the Japanese versions of Sailor Moon and Tekken. No, Tekken. Oh, I can never remember the name of this one show that I was watching. Anyway, so I was watching the actual Japanese stories, and they were completely different than the North American edited versions, and that really fascinated me, because I realized that, bless you, that manga wasn't just about superpowers. Like Sailor Moon, yeah, she transforms, and that was one part of it. But overall, it was about these girls working together and going through a lot of everyday life issues, like boyfriend trouble. And I'd never seen that. Like, who does the comic books don't do that? They're more like you get angsty characters or superpowers, and they never take the time to say like, oh, I can't cook, But manga did that, and so I kind of moved away from North American comics, not just because of the style that I really admired in the Japanese, series, but in also the way they were telling stories. So I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell those kind of stories. I wanted to like focus on character development and everyday like mishaps that happen to them, and I think on a more emotional level, I connected with manga, and so I kind of left the North American art behind.
Well, that sounds like it probably would explain why a lot of young women, or women, mostly young women, I guess, have been attracted to it. Whereas the Marvel and DC and Image and Dark Horse, some of the stuff, that's not really their cup of tea. And we still traditionally see mostly young men attracted to that. But manga, the anime, I mean, it just seems like very welcoming of women.
Yeah, it is. In Japan, it's taken as just like a novel, and you see everyone reading it on the subways. They have it's everywhere. It's in you see manga in like their 7-Elevens. You see it in their coffee shops, and in every bookstore. Everywhere is manga, and I think that it's so accepted there because they're just telling stories, and they just tell it in a visual way. And so I think that the female authors out there were just like, yeah, well, this is what we want to say. We want to talk about like having crushes on guys, and and like we want to tell stories that are like about relationships, and we love that. Girls love that. So I think that's why I think you're right. I think that's why women are attracted to it. But there's also the Bishojin. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. But the male version.
Don't ask me. I don't know.
There's shoujo for girls, okay. And then there's
shojin, Shojan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or UN. Yeah. No, I know. I do. Actually, I do know what you mean. Sorry.
So there's shonen, and then there's the girl. Anyway, the shoujo, and so shonen is for boys, and they do focus a lot on action, and like they've got manga for like specifically for basketball, and it's huge out there. Slam dunk. It's massive, and then you'll have like crime mysteries, and I think that's just like, so they do hit every kind of audience out there, and I think that there's maybe more appeal for women here in North America, but I do think that there's a huge acceptance of also the male comic or the male-oriented stories.
And is it easier for women to break into manga than it is for women to break into comic books here?
I don't know. I don't know if there's I don't know, to be honest. I don't know a lot of girls that are doing manga in North America. I know that there's a lot more girls doing comics. Like when you go to a comic book convention and you, or even a comic book store, and you see the authors, there's a lot more women doing comics now than there were before.
Seems like I see Gail Simone's name on everything, and that's about it.
Yeah. There's a few out there.
Okay.
But I don't know, to be honest. I think for art's sake, it's visual. So if it appeals to a male audience, then it's accepted. And if you're I don't know. I think my art is more. I have more female fans than I do male, but I do have a lot of guys that like my art. So.
Well, it's a funny thing because if you like drawings of pretty girls, you're going to be drawn to your stuff. I mean, you do a lot of that. I mean, it's just and I think that's one of the things you say early on in the book, that one of the things that drew you to manga over the comic books was that the women are attractive, the men are better looking. I mean, it's more I get that.
Looking guys in manga, they got wispy hair. Love it.
The wispy hair. The women
Sure.
with the eyes. I can't even get my eyes to open that wide anymore.
Uh,
Yes. Now, and I'm looking at you now. It's interesting. I wouldn't have thought to ask this because we discussed this before we started. I didn't actually have a photo of you, so I didn't know what you looked like. But looking at you, you look like you could easily be a character in one of your own stories.
uh, you know what's so funny? I get that a lot. People are like, "Oh, you look like you're painting." I'm like, "What? I don't look like that." But I do have big eyes. When I was in Taipei, I was stopped a lot in the street because girls were just like, "Wow, look at your eyes." I was like, "Thank you." My little sister has even bigger eyes than I do. I think if anyone is a real life manga character, it would be my younger sister.
Interesting. And I keep looking at it. I keep wanting to ask you. Tell us about the chair behind you.
Oh, sure. Do you want me to shift?
Yeah, sure. You can.
Okay. So this is a chair. I don't know if you can see it.
Wow, look at the detail.
There's so much detail. So this chair was reupholstered by good friends of mine at Rubbish Rehab, and they reupholster antique furniture.
Is that in Vancouver?
No, they're actually based outside of Seattle.
Oh, okay.
So they're American, and but I met them like through. They're fans of my art, so I met them when I went to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, and they approached me to do a chair. And the first chair they did was just blew me out of the water. It was so amazing. And then they had this extra antique chair, and they're like, "Do you want to reupholster it with something that you really like?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so they did it with this piece called The Loveless Bird, which is one of my, I know I'm not supposed to have favorites because all my paintings are my children. I love them all. But I love The Loveless Bird so much. So they did this. It's so comfortable too.
Now, can your fans buy those anywhere? Or is that just a one-of-a-kind?
They're one of a kind, but there's a couple available right now at the Eden Gallery in Vancouver. So they can check that out. Or they can go to Rubbish Rehab on Facebook and get a custom chair made.
Wow, that's very cool. I mean,
Yeah.
It looks great.
Oh, it's so great. I kind of want to sit on it. But.
Well, okay, so speaking of art, one of the things we had asked you to do is maybe you could do a little demonstration for us while we talk. So you have conveniently have some materials there to work with?
Look at it, just lying around, some paper. Yeah, I've got, so normally I don't, here, let me grab something hard to work on here. Normally I have a drafting table that I work on, so you have to forgive me if I don't do this perfectly.
That's all right. We'll make allowances, I'm sure.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
So, and you know what's funny? It's like every time I do a drawing, I change where I start. I think I mentioned that in the book too. It's just like sometimes I start with the eyes, and sometimes I start with like the hair. I think just for this, I'll start with the bangs first.
Okay. When did you first realize that you had the talent for art in general, and then to do this professionally?
Oh wow, that's a great question. Because I'd always known that I wanted to be an artist. Growing up, and my mother encouraged me. But when I was a kid growing up, I thought I was going to be an animator for Disney. Like my goal was to work at Disney, and so my whole high school career, I was working towards going into the animation program in Vernon, where I grew up. Mm-hmm. And so I got into the program, but what happened was that I realized I didn't like doing 3D animation. I didn't like doing animation. I wasn't particularly good at it. I just drew. I drew all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what I wanted to do. And I had been to Comic-Con, and I'd been approached to do comic books. So I was doing that on the side. And I spent more time doing my comic book than I did doing my animation reel. And so I don't think I finished my animation reel, to be honest. I graduated, but just just was like, my focus was completely gone, and I knew that I wanted to do comics. So,
I've always thought it would take a certain type of patience and demeanor to do animation, because you're drawing the same thing over and over again, slightly different, graduated, a little graduated, and we actually have a girl who used to babysit my daughter years ago is now working in that, and has worked on, she worked on Mr. Popper's Penguins, and I think she worked on Turbo and some other things, and it's very exciting, but it would just be mind-numbing to me. And if you to do what you do, where you draw something different constantly, and you're drawing action, if you're doing a manga book, action as it may be, you're going from panel to panel, and you're telling a story. That would be so much more appealing to me than to draw the same thing over 1,000 times. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, there was some disillusionment when I got into the animation program, because I was like, oh my god, you mean I won't be drawing, I won't be the main head animator? I'll be doing the shoelace for Mickey Mouse for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of that where you're just like, oh, that's reality. This isn't high school anymore, where it's like you're not just having, your dreams kind of get
crushed.
Reality, it gets you every time.
Well, I'm thinking, we have the expression going postal for postal workers who just kind of the mindless repetition and the drone of it. I would think that going animator would be kind of similar.
It's true. My best friend works in the post office, so
I
conversations like that all the time.
I did that right out of college, in college and out of college for a couple of years, and I understand completely why those people sometimes just lose it. But anyway, not to be depressive for people who want to be animators.
No,
We need you.
Yeah, but like I said, there's a certain type of person who's drawn to that, and I'm just not that type. I'm much more. I'm too chaotic for that. I realized very quickly too that I can't. I can work well with others, and I work well with my editor, but at the same time, I need creative freedom, and you won't. And I couldn't get that as an animator, because I would always be doing somebody else's project, and I would always be doing somebody else's creation. So I didn't. I felt in that sense that I couldn't really express myself as an artist. So even though I'd be drawing every day, and that's what animators do, they draw every single day, it wouldn't be the kind of drawing that I wanted to do as for a living. And artists, we tend to get a little spoiled. We do. We're just like, well, that's not how I want to do my art, so I'm going to go and do my own art this way. And I think that's why artists struggle a lot of times, is because we can't conform to a lot of. So this is my drawing, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's kind of Octopus Girl.
It's an Octopus Girl. I love octopi, and it's pretty fun.
So tell us about the hair. Tell us about the eyes, because those are certainly the soul of the manga character, are the eyes. And
it's very true. Well, so for me, as you can see, I work with a Bic, and it kind of has this sketchy quality to it. It's and so I love the hair, because with a Bic, I get to do every little strand of hair, and with the pressure, I can change it so that it looks like it's darker to lighter, and it has a more organic feeling to it than other kind of pens. So that's why I choose it, and that's why I love drawing hair so much, because you get all these little wispy, little strands of hair, and it actually drove my inkers crazy in the beginning when I was doing comics, because they would just do chunks, and I'm like, no, wisps, don't you watch anime?
And they just want to get through it.
They just want to get through it, right? And then, of course, the eyes. I mean, they're huge. They're huge on anime characters, and they're so expressive. Even when they're just she's just happy. She's just content. If I saw this girl in the street smiling like that, I'd just be like, "Aw, it's a good day," And you could tell that even just from the eyes, without even the mouth. So I think maybe just because they're so big, they can express so much more.
Now you also have your Helmet Girls,
Yeah.
who have these big, mean, it's all steampunk inspired things on their heads. Where does that come? I was looking at that, going, yeah, I mean, where is that? Just fashion? Is it just fun to draw those things on their heads? What is that all about?
Oh my gosh, people have been asking me that for years, and I wish I had a concise answer for you. I really don't. I think in the very first Helmetgirl I ever did, very first one, is because I failed at drawing goggles. I just failed. They were massive, and then I'm like, oh god, I'm messing this up, and I'm like, just keep adding, and it'll get better. You'll get through it. And so I created my first Helmetgirl. I'm like, ooh, that's kind of cool. It was like more like Goggle Girl, and then I just tapped into this this other part of my creativity where I really like to like industrial machinery, and I think that also came from when I, growing up, my father, he had three daughters, no sons, so I was kind of like the boy. I was always like the tomboy. I was always doing stuff with my dad, tinkering in his shop. I'd go out to Home Hardware with him, and I would just, I'm like, oh my god, look at all these things, and I was just so drawn to mechanical objects, and so when I did that failed Goggle Girl, I was like, oh my gosh, well, what if I added some more like nuts and bolts here, and then at the same time that I was doing that, I was watching more anime and was more interested. I was getting interested in Japanese artists that weren't manga artists. They were just doing their own illustrations, and I was like, whoa, they're doing this too. So it was this weird kind of I don't know, parallel where I was doing this in North America and they were doing it there, and so I felt really inspired by them. And they really know how to do steampunk in Japan, and I just went with it, and so every day I would draw a different character, and they all are unique. So it's not. I get asked that question a lot too. It's like, or is this the same girl? I'm like, no, it's a totally different girl. And with anime, you can tell because the hair is different. So
that's it. It's the hair. Okay. Because I actually wanted to ask you about that because. Yeah. I wondered what you would say to the American comics fan who they find for them that a great deal of manga kind of all rolls together, that it's just all a bunch of the big-eyed innocent characters, and that they're kind of indistinguishable. And at the same time, and I'm not saying that to be condescending to the craft, because it's just kind of a general American perception of the Marvel DC kids. They'll never get that stuff. But at the same time, because your book Pop Manga is geared to as an instructional guide, I'm wondering how prospective manga artists who might read the book, how they can overcome this and be make it clear that they're all different characters, and they're very they stand alone.
Yeah, and I think that you're right. Like, a lot of people have this perception that they're all the same character, and I made my own joke there, where it's like, oh, you can tell because the hair is different. But like, you don't have to make fun of it, like you just have to roll with it. But I think that the people who say that maybe they haven't they've only seen one kind of anime, or they've seen. A lot of the TV shows tend to have the same style, and I think if you look at oh boy, I'm at a loss for, but I think maybe what happens is that people they need to like go beyond what they've seen, and maybe try picking up different books, because I think that a lot of North American comics. They draw the same way. It's like muscular guys, voluptuous girls.
Wait a minute. You can't tell the difference between, say, Power Girl and Ms. Marvel, because they seem so different to me.
It's their hair. It's totally different.
Oh, that's it. It's the hair, yeah.
So it's the hair. No, but like, yeah. Okay, all kidding aside, I think that because manga, for example, they don't. They tend to simplify the way that they draw characters. So you're not going to have a character that has like a wide nose or a pointy nose or big lips or like thin lips, lots of wrinkles. It's different. It's just a different way. It's much more simple. It's like airbrushing. You've taken out all the blemishes, all the things that like there's no crinkles in the cheeks or dimples, and so they've taken that away. And that, I think, is what people in North American comics do really well, is that they use those to their advantage. They use like the different noses, but
the hyperrealism.
Yeah, exactly. So what I say is, like, you can change the way that you draw your characters. You can have like a girl who has a rounder face, a girl who has longer face. Like, you can change the shape of the eyes. You can. There are many things you can do to change it, but still stay within your style and your comfort zone. And of course, like with manga, the biggest asset is like the hair, and it's like, and what the problem is when two characters have similar hair, then you're like, I don't know what's going on, and because it's all black and white too. That's the other problem, is that it's all black and white. Mm-hmm. So North Americans have the other advantage of color. It's like, well, that's Phoenix because she's got red hair. That's not Rogue, because you can tell. And so I think that what the Japanese have done with how they draw, I think it's amazing, because I can always tell when characters are different. So I don't have that problem. But I'm sure that when you put a lineup of the X girls, it's like they're gonna look alike.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. So what is it, as we kind of wrap up here, I guess, but what is it that a would-be manga artist, a young manga artist, or someone who's just trying they don't have to be young, obviously, but what is it that they get wrong the most?
Oh, I think they get down on themselves. I think an artist's greatest weakness is themselves. Like, we tend to, I know for myself anyway, that I'll draw something, I'm like, oh God, I hate that. Like, that's the worst thing I've ever drawn. Like, I'm supposed to be a professional. This is awful. And I'll throw it away. And I will only see the flaws in what I'm drawing. And I think that a lot of artists do that. They will draw something and they'll never be happy with it, because they'll only see the faults and the things that they did wrong. And a viewer will see that and they don't see anything wrong with it. They think that it's amazing. So I think that that's the biggest thing going against a budding artist is they have to get out of their own way, mm-hmm. and just draw it and then move on to the next one. My husband, he does that too with his art. He does it as a hobby, and he'll just be like, oh, I hate it, and he'll give up. And I'm like, no, you have to finish it, because it'll linger. It'll linger in the back of your head. You're like, oh, that thing just, I never finished it. And I've finished so much art that in my mind I was like, oh, I wanted to give up, but I didn't. And I was really glad that I finished it, because I accomplished something, and that accomplishment felt good, and I felt like I made some mistakes, but at the end I was like, okay, well, I did it. Now I could just move on to the next thing, and that's I think for what I would say. And but
I'm sorry, I was going to ask you: are there art skills that can be learned and those that can't?
Yeah, I think you can't really be taught creativity. I'm a pop surrealist, and people ask me all the time, like, where did that idea come from? Like, even just the girl that I drew right now with like the little tentacles. Mm-hmm. Where did that come from? I don't know.
I'm hungry. It's lunch. It's almost lunchtime, and I want some sushi.
I was watching The Host last night. Come on. Yeah, no. And that's the thing that you cannot be taught. You can't be taught to think out. I don't know, to like come up with these ideas. So I think that in that sense, like, you can't be taught inspiration. And the things you can learn are like how to draw hands. It's a big one. And I think a lot of people struggle with specific things, like whether the hands. One thing in particular that I struggled with was, like, my characters always had really long arms. I'm like, my God, am I drawing monkeys? Like, what's going on? And they had these ridiculous long arms, or they seemed tilted. I know that a lot of times artists have trouble because their characters seem like slanted. They're like, well, it was supposed to be standing upright. And if you were working digitally, you could just skew the character, but you can't in real life. So I show in the book how to avoid those situations and like the simplest way to draw hands. And I learned that over the course of, my art career. And it's really easy to draw hands now. I don't draw them perfectly. I'm just going to say that I have drawn a 6-fingered character once. I'm sorry. I'm not, it makes it easy how I teach you to draw them. But you're going to get it wrong sometimes. I mean, it's never going to be perfect all the time. So it's maybe another lesson to be taught.
All right. Well, let me remind our viewers and listeners that you are relaunching your website, CamillaDorico.com, and adding an e-store to that. And that at that e-store you'll be doing these 48-hour only sales of very limited fine art prints. People can look forward to that. And that you will be doing a signing for Pop Manga at Golden Age Collectibles in Vancouver on Saturday, October 26th. And you will also be in Los Angeles November 1st to 3rd for Kamikaze Convention, right? Mm-hmm. So what's next for you? The Pop Manga obviously has just come out, and I know people who produce creative things. The last thing you want to be asked is, so what are you going to do next? But Camilla, what are you going to do next?
Well, that's a good question. I'm doing Tampopo, the graphic novel, the second one. I'm just wrapping it up right now, and that one's coming out in the spring. So you can look forward to that. And I'm also working on the Sky Pirates of Neoterra. They're launching a new video game, and they're also launching a battle card game. So I've been doing a lot of work on that, and I can't wait. Like if you go on my Facebook, I post sometimes some of the pinups that I'm doing for them. I mean, like it's gonna be really fun. So I love that Sky Pirates is all interactive, and we've got that coming up.
Sounds like the Sky Pirates are coming for you.
Yeah.
And folks, so listen, you can find Pop Manga, how to draw the coolest, cutest characters, animals, mascots, and more by my guest, the lovely Camilla Dorico, in great bookstores everywhere, or you can order it right now at a great price at MrMedia.com. If you're watching the video, chances are just below the video, kind of over there, is there's the cover of the book. You can just click on it right now. It'll take you to Amazon. You can have the book. You can have it tomorrow, frankly. Maybe if you're in the Seattle, Vancouver area, maybe you could have it today. Maybe they're doing same-day delivery just for this book, okay? But so order the book, support her. We mentioned the website. It is, I'll spell it for those of you who don't know. Camilla, you'll tell me if I get it wrong. It's Camilladerico.com.
Perfect.
Are you on Twitter, Facebook, any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter as Helmetgirl, and I'm on Facebook. I'm constantly on Facebook. It's a problem. But every day I post something new. So, today there's going to be some new art going up. So.
Very nice. Very good. Well, Camilla Dorico, thank you so much for joining us on Mr. Media today, and good luck with the new book.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. You can see and hear almost 1,000 Mr. Media interviews by visiting our main site, MrMedia.com, mrmedia.com. Or check out the more than 200 video interviews on the Mr. Media radio site on YouTube. And I'd sure appreciate if you'd show some love for Mr. Media's advertisers, including Stitcher. Apple named Stitcher a top 5 news app of 2011. It's a free mobile app for your smartphone or tablet that lets you listen to your favorite shows and discover the best of news, entertainment, and sports on demand. You can listen whenever you want to more than 5,000 shows, get customized recommendations, and discover what your friends are listening to. My own list of Stitcher favorites is pretty eclectic. I start my day with an hour of MSNBC's Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. Then it's the latest 2-minute update from the Onion News Network. After that, I'll listen to WTF with Mark Maron, Here's the Thing with Alec Baldwin, HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher, and excerpts from E's Chelsea Lately and The Soup with Joel McHale. Also in regular rotation on my Stitcher playlist, the BS Report with ESPN's Bill Simmons, the TechCrunch headlines, and the Don Geronimo Show. The latest episodes of each show, whether originating from broadcasts, cable TV, radio syndication, or podcasts, are continuously updated. Stitcher is a free app for your iPhone, iPad, Kindle, Fire, BlackBerry, Droid, and more. And show your support of Mr. Media by getting, did I mention it's free? The app at Stitcher.com/Mr. Media. That's Stitcher.com/MR Media. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio. We're also supported by Audible. Check out Audible's 30-day trial membership and download the audiobook version of the book everyone's been talking about, 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. Sign up for your free trial today at audible.com/radio. Again, audibletrial.com/radio. And finally, if you need a disc jockey for a wedding, bar mitzvah, corporate event, or just a big old party, please consider calling 1-800-DIAL-DJs, the party authority for all your party entertainment needs. You can call 1-800-DIAL-DJs or go to their website, 1-800-DIAL-DJs.com, and tell them Mr. Media sent you. And thanks for listening.